Let's go, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Squishy Sports Podcast. And the NRL is all finished. NRLW is all done for this season. We don't have any games to review, unfortunately. I may be looking at doing some like a season review or like certain teams review as well, which is pretty cool. But for this episode, we are going to do NRL hot takes for either that happened this year or for 2026, 6 months in advance. I put a reel out on Instagram and TikTok, all of my socials yesterday, and the comments I got were absolutely insane. The feedback I got was really cool. So if you're not following my socials at Squishy Sports, give it a follow. Some really good content on there, and we've got some really good engagement as well. We've got some outlandish hot takes, and we've got some ones that are a bit sort of colder, I think, that aren't so hot. But I'm going to run through it with it's your guys' hot takes for next year. So one of my hot takes for next year, I don't think it's a massive hot take. I think Blaze Talangi will definitely be Dally M Player of the Year next year. And I did see another one, which I did agree with, maybe a bit biased, and as Alofiana Khan-Pereira, the new Warriors signing, will be the Dally M Winger of the Year. That would be pretty cool, or even top try scorer. So I'm going to start it over off Instagram. I've got one comment here. It's from Jackson Innit, it says, and that says, Alex Johnson, AJ, will not break the try scoring record. He'll get a career-ending injury after falling one try short. So I believe he's got 3 tries to break the record for Kern Irvine. You'd think like he'd get it probably in the first couple games. Literally, I thought he was going to get it at the end of this season here. That would be a massive dagger blow. He's obviously coming off, he had an Achilles in 2024, which sort of set him back, missed the end of the season 2024, and started 2025 as well, I believe. So yeah, you obviously never know what can happen. That would be absolutely brutal. AJ, one of the absolute star wingers of our sport. He absolutely deserves that record. I do think he'll get that record, but that is definitely, it's a huge hot take, that one there. So thank you, Jackson, for that one. Of course, guys, if you like the content, you like what you listen to, please make sure you give it a like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Give the Spotify, Apple Podcasts a follow as well and a rating. Give it a comment on the video on YouTube as well. It really does help the algorithm and get my sort of viewership up early on. All right, next one comes from Sione_Cena on TikTok, and that is Roosters to win the minor premiership next year. And while I'm on the fly and talking about it, this is definitely a sort of a big call for sure. They're going to have to have a really good season. They finished about 7th, I believe, this year. It was on the ladder. Would have been 8th, actually. So they only just made it. There's no odds yet for the minor premiership. I would say they're probably around the $20, $25 mark to win the minor premiership next year, which that would be a big scout for sure. Obviously, is it Teddy's final year? Has he got sort of 2 more years to go? Resurgence of Sam Walker off his ACL injury from a couple years ago. He's finally going to have a full off season to get going. Obviously, the new signing of Reece Robson as well is really, really good. No Sandon Smith now in the 6th, but they will have Hugo Savala, who was a breakout player for the Roosters this year. So definitely not out of the realms of possibility whatsoever. They have so many star players. You still got Daniel Tupou. Mark Nawaqanitawase will still be there next year before he goes back to rugby, it looks like. You still got obviously you got Billy Smith. You got Robert Toya made his Origin debut. You've got so many star players. You still got Angus Crichton there. You got CY Wong. I think it's a huge year for a guy like CY Wong. Victor Radley, he needs a big year after what's been happening in sort of the off-field drama. Definitely got potential with this one. I really do like that one. So thank you, Sione, for that one there. In regards to hot take, I'm probably just going to do this for like sort of 25 to 30 minutes, maybe like sort of 5 to 10 hot takes. Talk about it a little bit, ask you and let you know what I guys think. And then that will be that. Next one, we've got some injury ones. This one comes to Levy106. This is all on TikTok. Nathan Cleary will be out all year with an ACL injury. So Nathan Cleary, he has definitely missed some games in his career. He hasn't played a full season for what feels like a very sort of long time. probably feels like this year he played the most games he's played in a while. I don't have that on paper in front of me there, but obviously this Panthers team is such a standout still when he's not there. Like, you have players like Jack Cogger's just come back. He can fit in there into that team. I think, like Blaze telling he will be Dally M 5'8" of the year. I think he's going to have an awesome year next year. Second year under Ivan Cleary in the system. Like, it just feels like it can't go wrong. But that would be a huge dagger blow for sure. You almost completely sort of wipe out any chance of Penrith winning the premiership. Just like most teams, I guess, if your 7 suffers an ACL. Shout out to my Warriors and Luke Metcalf. Still devastated about it. All right, next one comes from B13851, and I do like this one even as a Queenslander. That is Ethan Strange to make his Origin debut. So I absolutely love this kid, right? I believe he's about sort of 21. He's pretty much his second year in the NRL. Won the minor premiership this year with the Raiders at 5'8". He is a Dally M 5'8" of the year as well. He represented New South Wales in like the under-19s as well. He absolutely brained it in that as well. I always knew he was a massive potential prospect coming into the NRL last year. And honestly, at the start of this year, like first 5 rounds, like after Vegas, he really sort of wasn't there. And then he just flicked a switch and he's just absolutely killed it for the rest of the year. They missed him massively in that first final against Cronulla. Not against Cronulla. He played against Brisbane, but against Cronulla in that elimination final, I thought he was a huge loss to their attack. He's just so dynamic, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, if you were to pick your Origin halves at the moment, despite what all the media says, whatnot, and you just got to go off players at the moment, I would be putting Moses at 7, and I would be putting Cleary at 6. So, didn't work game 1 last year. Oh, sorry, it did work game 1 last year, and then Moses did get injured, but Cleary just hasn't done what the potential has been at 7 for New South Wales. We know that. We've all seen it before. He just hasn't been able to dominate an Origin series yet, but he can still dominate an Origin series at 6. But if there was a case where I think one of these players would probably have to go down, I would probably say that he would be ahead of like a Nico Hines or a Matt Burton potentially to go at 6 now that Ethan Strange does have more experience. There's no reason why he can't be there. That would be really cool. He's so young. Let me have a quick look while I'm just on the laptop. He is 21. He's 22 in August next year. So, 2 years ago, he brained it for New South Wales under 19s, just absolutely destroyed Queensland. And as a Queenslander, like, that would be pretty scary, I believe, seeing him at 6 for a New South Wales jersey, but he 100% deserves it, in my opinion. Definitely, if the occasion was to arise. Next one comes from Adrian.cap3, and that is the Raiders will not make the top 8 next year. And I did reply to like pretty much a lot of these comments, which is really cool. I love engaging with you guys. So for me, I kind of agree but don't agree in this one. It's definitely a hot take for sure. That'd be really good odds to definitely miss the minor premiers. We don't see it too often, the minor premiers for 1 year and then missing the year after. I don't know what the stats in that would be like. But for me, you've got to expect some sort of regression, I guess. Like, was that a one-season wonder? Was it like class as permanent kind of thing? Like, is Ricky Stewart, has he finally got the team he's after? Jamal Fogarty, he's obviously a massive loss for this Raiders team. You're going to have Ethan Sanders coming into the 7 position most likely. So you will have 2 Ethans in the halves, Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders. That makes it even more for Ethan Strange to step up in this team there. Obviously, you got a guy like KO Weeks still at fullback, and he's going to have to continue his form that he had last year. Obviously, you still got a guy like Chevy Stewart, but they had a massive breakout year. Obviously, a guy like Xavier Savage, I think he's quite up and down. The massive thing is their forward pack, and it's a team like this. It's going to be hard for them to miss the 8 with a forward pack where you've got Corey Horsburgh, who is so close to an Origin spot, if not should be in Origin. Joe Tarpany, who is just an absolute weapon. We all know what Joe Tarpany is like. He is the forefront of the Canberra Raiders. He is what Canberra Raiders speaks of. He just feels like the Canberra Raiders in sort of a nutshell. And another one I really like is Morgan Smithies. He's just an absolute workhorse. I just love what he does. Just gets in, gets the work done, gets the mahi done, and gets back out there. And I love, obviously, their edge rowers as well. On the left, you've obviously got New South Wales and Australian Hudson Young. We may probably expect them to see him play the Ashes later on this year in the left edge. And, of course, you got a guy like Zach Hosking there, and you got obviously a guy like Matty Nicholson there as well. So, Matty Nicholson, he's going to be in his second year in the NRL. He had a bit of a setback with injury last year. Zach Hosking, we know what we get from Zach Hosking. He's come from the Penrith system, and he's killed it when he's been at Canberra and given the opportunity there. So, Raiders to not make the top 8, definitely a hot take for sure. Could I see it happening? Potentially. I think you've got to expect some regression. I probably would say they don't make top 4. I'd probably have Penrith back up there. I'd be giving my Warriors a chance, definitely. And if they're not going to make the top 8, who would make the 8 that didn't make the 8 this year? I would be saying first one that comes to mind would be the Dolphins. Next one, my smoky for the 8 next year is Parramatta. I think they're going to have a huge year. Second year under Riles. I think they will have a big year with Jason Riles and make the 8. All right, next one comes from Jake Pav, and I do like this one. We just mentioned it before, and that is Dolphins top 4 next year. And the Dolphins are in they're going to be in their 4th year of the NRL next year. So I believe they've gone, what was it, like 13th, like 9th or something, like 9th and 10th. I think they finished 10th this year. But he started awesomely. Sorry, they started 0-3, I think, and then they went on this absolute tear, and they were 100% in the top 8. They were in amongst the top 4. Isaiah Katoa was in elite form. He's becoming one of the best 7s. That's another really good hot take. Him to win the Dally M next year, or him to either make an Origin spot next year. He's probably more a 7 than a 6, though, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I really like this one. Dolphins, they keep building, it seems. They just got to find that consistency. They've got to start winning these big games. They sort of got, and they have been. I remember they smashed Penrith and they smashed the Storm at home last year. Their big one is to be able to win the big games on the road. Can they turn up on the road and win the big games, whether it's one in Melbourne, whether they can go to Penrith and win, whether they can travel to New Zealand and win. I know they actually did last year in the last minute. I just remembered that. Holy, that was brutal. Shout out Jermaine Asako in the corner there. I do like this one. This team is getting better and better, like squad-wise, every single year. And still got Jeremy Marshall-King there. I think he's going to have an injury-free season for them to have a good shot at top 4. A guy like Cody Nikorima, him with Isaiah Katoa, it just seems to gel so well. A big one for me is I think he had a bit of a down year in some respect. I know he had scored a million tries, but skill-wise, we've seen better years, and that is Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow, the Hammer. He's got to have a massive year for the Dolphins here. We've got to see like a guy like Tom Flegler, like he's had all year off. He's basically had 2 years off. Is he ever coming back to the NRL? That would be massive. A guy like Tom Gilbert, he's got to be able to stay on the field. Guy like Oren Keeley, I really like Oren Keeley. I still think that maybe that's like sort of one big signing away from taking that step into the top 4. Whether that happens this offseason, I'm not quite sure, but I do really like it. That would be really, really cool to see, especially if we got like a Brisbane derby in like the finals next year in September. That would be an absolute blockbuster clash. So good for obviously Queensland Rugby League and also just Dolphins in general. Second year under Christian Wolf, they did better than honestly what I thought. I did think they would regress from Wayne Bennett. I was completely wrong. I had them bottom 4. Like at the start of this year, I had them bottom 4. Looked like I was going to be right. They started 0-3, I believe, and then they turned it on. They were really, really impressive to watch. Booster a little bit in the forward back potentially as well. But I still think one key signing back away from that top four. They have signed Herbie on just a 1-year extension, which is really interesting. So going to be interesting to see if he stays after 2026. I would like him to stay at the Dolphins. Does he have a resurgence back at the Broncos? I don't think he goes back to the Super League, but does a Sydney team potentially snap him up? How does he really want to win a premiership, or does he think he can win a premiership with the Dolphins, which will be interesting to see. This one here from Tom.West. I don't think this is a huge call by all means. I would not be surprised to see it. And this is Cleary to carry Penrith to a 5th ring and win the Dally M. For me, I would probably have Penrith winning the comp next year, in all honesty. And a big factor of that is Cleary definitely staying healthy. This has got redemption season all over it for Penrith. And they say the dynasty's over because they haven't won 5th in a row. But, mate, since 2020, that was their worst year since 2020. They've played 5 grand finals in a row and they lose in the last 2 minutes of a prelim final. They started the year with 6, with Brad Schneider, I believe it was. Jack Cole. It just wasn't quite working. Cleary was a little bit injured. He's obviously got Cleary to win the Dally M. If he is to win the Dally M, he's going to have to play majority of the games. Is this also the year he breaks out and wins Origin? Is that a massive confidence booster? This Penrith team, though, they've been on the high for so long, and I still think they are, literally 6 years now of making at least a prelim final. They were so close to making 6 grand finals in a row. I believe they probably would have beaten the Storm in that grand final as well if they beat the Broncos, and that would have been 5 in a row. This dynasty is still going, guys. If they win next year, that's 5 out of 6. That's still a bloody dynasty. You look at a team like the Chicago Bulls, who 3 in a row, and then a couple years, none, and then another 3 in a row. That is still known as a dynasty, 6 and 8 years. If they win 5 and 6 years, that's still a dynasty. So they're well and truly still going to be around. I can't see them starting the same as what they did last year. I think they're obviously going to have a tiny bit more, I say a tiny bit more rest, but they've obviously got some internationals playing this year. If they can have a good off-season and come back fit and firing and not look tired and stay injury-free, it does not shock me whatsoever if Penrith are there once again in the grand final and lifting the trophy in October once again. In regards to winning the Dally M, that wouldn't shock me as well. He's one of the best players in the game as well. That would not shock me in the slightest. This one here is a huge hot take. This is massive. And that comes from Jackson Rossifee. Yep. And that is the Sharks and the Knights to play in a grand final. So pretty hard to always predict a grand final at the start of the year. When you do all your previews, you look at the squads, schedules, that sort of thing. And I had the Sharks playing the Storm in a grand final this year. And they played each other in a prelim, it turns out. I believe the Sharkies can definitely go one step further next year, 100%. They've had the same team, it feels like, for 5-6 years now. Nico, he's had 2 years in a row now winning a final. The Sharks team has had 2 years in a row of winning a final. I think that's a massive confidence booster for this team. And honestly, they put up a good performance against that Storm team in Melbourne. I think the Sharks team has to finish top 4. I do think they have to finish top 4, if not at top 2. I think the first week, to get a home final is massive for them. To get a home final or not just go play another Sydney team is huge. If they can get that week off and go to a prelim and have a home prelim, I know it won't be at Shark Park, it'll be at Allianz, but if they could have essentially a home prelim against a team like the Storm, or against potentially like Canberra or Warriors or Broncos potentially, 100% seeing them making the grand final. That is not the hot take part of this, and it's the wooden spooners to go from last to first, essentially. And Newcastle Knights, man. Just brutal year. What a brutal year. Not much to sort of positively say, I guess. I guess you could get excited about Dylan Brown coming to the Knights next year. How they set out their halves is it Brown at 7, Sharp at 6, Ponga at 1. They've got rid of Brayley now. I believe Crossan will probably be the 9 next year, unless I'm forgetting someone. I believe Jaden Brayley, he's going to Canberra next year. I don't think anyone is coming there, but they most likely will have Phoenix Crossan at 9. I didn't mind him when he was playing a little bit of lock last year, which is a little bit strange. But Dylan Lucas, he's going to be coming back off injury. No Kai Pearce-Paul. They do have this guy called James McEwen. I think he will have a massive year. Came playing sort of in the late bit of this year and performed really bloody well. He runs the ball so hard, makes 40 tackles a game, gets really, really hard work done. But in terms of coaching, I believe it's Josh Hannay is the coach now of the Knights for next year. He's going to be in his first year of coaching. Got to give him a chance, I think. If this Knights team was to ever get back to like the heights that they had sort of in the early 2000s or late 90s with Joey, potentially. But Dylan Brown from the get-go is going to have to really turn it on, and so is Ponga. Ponga is going to have to stay healthy all year. That is the main thing. He's got to stay out of HIA trouble. He's got to stay out of ankle trouble, all these sort of things. And his combination with Dylan Brown is going to have to be huge. Obviously, you got Fletcher Sharp coming back off injury as well. It just seems to be a lot of things happening. Leo Thompson's leaving. Like, their forward pack is going to be really weak next year. Really weak. So do we see a lot of high-scoring games in the Knights next year because they struggle in the middle and they're going to have to spread it? I don't think they're going to have to get a young gun to come through and really perform, or they're going to have to sign a big breakout prop in the year. So November 1 is when negotiations can be done. So we aren't at that stage just yet. We're just over sort of 2 weeks away from that. That is a huge hot take for sure. I definitely can't see it. I would like to see the Knights back in the finals. Like, under Adam O'Brien, they made it somewhat consistently, but generally in the bottom 4 of the 8. But the thing with Newcastle is, and massive shout out to the Novocastrians, is they always turn up for their team no matter what. And they always get at least sort of 20,000, whether the bottom 4, the top 4. I remember that finals game that they played against the Raiders in 2024, I believe, or 2023, sorry, against Canberra was just absolutely insane. The crowd there, they absolutely live for their rugby league. This town deserves a better performing team whatsoever. They don't deserve a wooden spoon, that's for sure, considering that their fans are nowhere near wooden spoon level. I am a big fan of these Novocastrians. I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Newcastle, but they have some massive, massive changes to do in this offseason, and I hope Dylan Brown is already there training with some of these boys, getting ready, because, man, like, what is it, 15 million, 10 years? I get it, the salary cap is going up, but that is the biggest contract ever in the NRL. He's going to have so much pressure on him next year to perform, and if he doesn't perform, he is going to be in big doo-doo, also known as shit. Alrighty, next one is coming from Josiah, and I really like this one. This is my smoky for the top 8, and that is, he said he's gone one further, and that is the Eels to make the top 4 in 2026, and I absolutely love this one as a hot take. You're going to be getting really good odds on this one. You're going to be getting plus money, good odds on them to make the top 8, I think. And for me, this Eels team can only get better. Big thing is Mitch Moses has to stay injury-free for the season. He has to stay injury-free. This team just falls apart when he's not there. Just falls apart. But you've got second year of Isaiah Iongi. You got second year of Papali'i, and you've got some really good forwards coming through. You've got some really good edges coming through. You've obviously got the Fox still there. You've got a guy like, gosh, who am I forgetting? a guy like Penasini as well. You've got some really good guys on this team. Who is the fucking number 9 there at the moment? But he's performing really, really well as well. Sorry, Riley Smith, of course. Talon De Silva is there as well. You've got a really good hooker duo there as well. So if this spine can stay healthy of Iyongi, Papali'i, Moses, let's just say, and Riley Smith, this team can go a long way. And I can tell Jason Riles has built this system and belief in this Eels team that can do it. They were definitely one of the shining lights at the end of this year in regards to performances. Considering they got 50 put on them in the first round by the Storm, they've come leaps and bounds, absolutely leaps and bounds. And I'll have to check if they've made any signings for next year at the moment. They probably need to sharpen up their forward pack a little bit, I would say, just to sort of boost it a little bit to sort of get those meters down the field. But in regards to the backs are going to have absolutely no issue whatsoever in this team scoring points. I really like that one. It would be really cool to see Eels back in the top 4. I get it. They only made a grand final 2022 and lost to Penrith, but sort of been a bit lackluster in the last 2 years or last 2-3 years. But Mitch Moses is such a massive part of that. He started the season with the Eels and he had an injury for sort of 10 or so weeks, 10, 11 weeks. And then came back for Origin 1, killed it, won it with them, got injured again. He's such a linchpin, such a key part. He is the Parramatta Eels. So he has to stay injury-free if the Eels to make the top 4 in this one here. All right, next one is... I like this one. Joey.cc. We'll go for 2 more hot takes, and that is Storm to fall out of the top 4. He's got 2 here. So Storm to fall out of the top 4, and Tallis Duncan will play State of Origin next season. Storm, they obviously just coming off a grand final loss. Probably looks like Bellamy will... Oh, God, he keeps saying he goes round and round. But I think this will probably be his last year next year as coach of the Melbourne Storm. There's rumors he's going to go into another sort of coaching, managing directory role at another club. I have heard Gold Coast, which is they must be paying him really good money. Storm to fall out of the top 4. So they finished second this year behind the Raiders. They're always consistent, generally make the top 4. I'll have to see how many years that they have made the top 4. There's not many times where they don't. I can think of one year, I believe it was 2021. They played the Raiders in the first round of the finals in Melbourne and they lost. Big one is Pappenhausen. The big news about Pappenhausen, is he going to this rugby comp in Saudi Arabia? Is he going to stay? Is he going to sign an extension? Another one is Hughes. Can he stay healthy? Munster, can he stay healthy? Munster, he's sort of getting a little bit, not age-wise, but, Harry Grant, can he stay healthy as well? A lot of these guys, it's all about sort of staying healthy. They've just released Nathan Solomona. He was always off and on, suspensions, injuries, that sort of thing. I love Eli Katoa. Absolutely love Eli Katoa, right? He's always going to be in generally for a big year. If a guy like Eli Katoa goes down with injury, this team completely changes. But you've got a New Zealand international on one wing with Warbrick. You've got a Queensland international and Australian international on the other wing with Xavier Coates. You've also got a guy like Nick Meaney. You've got a guy who's just really risen, Grant Anderson. So really interesting to see, Uto Manu's second year as a forward. We generally see in the Melbourne system, they do have a rise in their second year as a forward in the system. I can definitely see a world for sure where the Storm do not make the top 4. A bigger hot take would be them not making the top 8, which would be just shocking to see. But the big one is going to be Pappenhausen for sure. If Pappenhausen is to leave, do they go with Meaney at fullback? Do they go with a guy like Suafala Logo at fullback? Him at fullback for a full season? God, I would not be even talking him out of the top 4. He is absolutely electric. I would love to see Fa'a Logo with a full season under his belt. Next one he's put is Tallis Duncan will play State of Origin next season. I'm pretty sure he is New South Wales through and through. Let me just quickly confirm. He's Maltese, it says, which is interesting to see. He played for the Duncan Warriors. Yep. So he played Hale Matthews for Newcastle Knights. So he'll be in New South Wales. That's what I thought. Where would he play in this New South Wales team? That's really interesting. Is he probably going to be on the edge? A guy like Hudson Young. He's almost like a lock into this team unless he goes down with injury. The big one, and he plays on the left as well, Tallis. The big one for me, maybe he comes off the bench or something. Good sort of utility player, can play a bit of lock, can play a bit of center if he needs to as well. Good utility player that they've had sort of on the bench. Like I thought a guy like Dylan Lucas would be really handy on a team like that this year. He can sort of play, again, very similar, like second row and edge. Tallis Duncan can keep up the form that he had in the back half of last year, like the last 10 rounds. He absolutely blitzed it. He was scoring doubles, he was scoring tries, he was breaking tackles, he was running awesome lines, defending really well. I can definitely see a world where he is a smoky for this Origin bench. Would Laurie Daly pick him? I'm not so sure, but maybe like a game 3 if Queensland are up 2-0. Game 1, we'll have to see it. It's so hard to say like now. If he can keep up this current form, like why not, right? Like why not? Like he absolutely brained it at the end of last year. So I really like Tallis Duncan. He's clearly a talent for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. He's got to stay healthy. He's starting to become an integral part of the South team. I think he will have a breakout year next year as well. All right, and we'll do one more, and that is, we've spoken about Dolphins going to the finals and Penrith winning the premiership. We've spoken about Para to go to the top 4. A lot of them are sort of Eels to sort of make the 8. All right, I did see one that I did like, this one. Okay, well, I'll do this as a fan, right? So this last one comes from Skitsy with 2 Ys. That is the last one. This is Warriors to have a run like the Raiders did this year. Finish first, but go out in straight sets. All right, I'm reading this one, and I'm like, cool, sounds mint. Warriors, minor premiers. I'm on a high for all of the season, right? I am a Warriors fan. If you're not watching on video, there is a Warriors jersey behind me. Is there potential for us to win a Myron Premiership? I 100% believe yes. Big one is definitely Luke Metcalf staying healthy. We were honestly in line to potentially come home on a strong run. We had a good run, and games-wise, schedule-wise, to finish off the season last year. I'm not discrediting anything from the Raiders, but if Luke Metcalf was playing, we would have made a bloody red-hot crack at it. We would have definitely made top 4. I think we would have maybe even finished 3rd, even finished 2nd. I'm a big fan of this Warriors team, and I'm not completely biased whatsoever and say every year, I'm not saying I'm not a Warriors fan, this is our year, let's go Warriors, that sort of thing. It's nothing like that. I had us actually bottom 4 at the start of this year. They completely surprised me. Luke Metcalf has to stay healthy, though. Has to stay healthy. What I really like, I do really like this AKP signing. Alofiana Khan-Pereira from the Titans. He was the best try scorer for the Titans in 2024. And then completely, I don't know what happened within the club last year. They kept picking DeGroot over him, which I found really, really odd. This guy's got blistering speed, and from all accounts, it does sound like Tuivasa-Sheck will maybe go to the Saudi comp as well. If AKP was to start round 1, does he start for Dallin? Does he start for Roger? That sort of thing. That's going to be really interesting. If Roger was to go, bang, you slot him in on the left wing, easy as, no worries. Really good cover if Roger and Dallin do stay. If Dallin does get injured or Roger was to get injured, easy cover straight in. For him in New South Wales Cup, he would absolutely destroy it, which would be just crazy to see. AKP we've kind of missed a little bit of that speed, I feel like, on the left edge. I get it. I love Roger. He's going to get us over 200 meters a game. He was just massive in spots last year for getting us meterage. AKP is definitely not known that, but we hardly scored tries down our wings. Like, for a winger, RTS didn't really score many tries like this year, and we need that back. Another year with Chanel down that left side as well. You've got a guy like potentially like Rocco Berry who can, if he hopefully stays healthy. You've got a guy potentially like Adam Pompey, which would be really cool. Leka, I think he's on the right side generally. So yeah, if he was to go like on the left, like different things can happen. So I really like this AKP signing. Can I see the Warriors winning the minor premiership? As I said, Egan Sessa has to stay healthy. I'd say Fisher Harris has to stay healthy. It's all that staying healthy, right? Like, the Raiders were healthy a lot of the year. Strange and Fogarty, they played pretty much all year. Weeks played pretty much all year. And like, obviously, like Hudson Young, he stayed healthy. Joe Tarpany, he stayed healthy. It's a really important factor, obviously, and that is a big part of the Panthers' success that they've had the last sort of 5-6 years as well. The Warriors to go out in straight sets would be brutal. You've got 2 home finals there. It's really weird. I sometimes feel more confident on the road with the Warriors than I do at home. Wasn't a fortress for us like it was a couple of years ago, like it was this year. Just sort of struggled in spots, whether we're like big favourites, and I don't know if it's a mental thing, but I remember we lost sort of games I know we lost against the Raiders, which is fair. I know we lost against like the Dolphins, just that sort of thing. And if we are obviously to win the minor premiership, we've got to start winning more games at home, 100%. God, straight sets would be just devastating after the year that we have. I think this team has it in them to definitely win a finals game for sure. Get to a prelim. Oh, God, just then thinking about making a grand final just gives me tingles, gives me goosebumps, makes me feel funny things. I have belief in this Warriors team next year. What is this going to be, the 4th year under Andrew Webster? I've got belief in this Warriors team that they can make it. So hot take for sure. But one that I agree with, but don't agree with the end part. But all up, guys, I really do appreciate all the comments I have received on this one here. It's good to see a lot of NRL fans missing the NRL and engaging as well. Had nearly close to 100 comments on this TikTok. So you guys absolutely spammed it, which is epic to see. That will do it for this episode of the Scooshy Sports Podcast, giving you your NRL hot takes for next year or even this year that happened. May look at this video back sort of this time next year and review them and see how they went. There are some boisterous hot takes in there. But guys, if you like what you see and you listen to, make sure on YouTube, like and subscribe, give it a comment. Give me your hot take as well for next year. If you didn't see my TikTok, give me your hot take for next year. Let me know, what is your NRL hot take for 2026? What would you like to see happen? Give me all your thoughts. Give me all the comments. Give me a follow on all my socials as well for more sort of stuff like this. I will be putting more stuff like at this during the off season as well. But guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Has been the Scooshy Sports Podcast. I will try my best to do episodes this week. I am off to Bali tomorrow for a week's holiday, which is cool. I will try to do the Red Zone report while I'm there potentially. Gonna have to see if I can get access to a bookie potentially. But again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time, and cheers.